Hello and welcome to the PitStop Report. Formula One is back and Formula One's back with a new leader. I'm joined today by James Felton Hodgson, a man who has no knowledge on Formula One, but he is all we could get.
I'm willing to learn.
Exactly.
So I'm excited.
We are absolutely going to fraud our way through this. This is
decipher this.
It might genuinely go down as a crime, what we're going to commit here today.
Okay.
This is going to be a crime against podcasting, and I'm honoured for you to join me along for the ride.
I'm honoured to be here.
Well, I think the biggest crime this weekend, though, was committed at Aston Martin in the attempted murder of their drivers Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. As we've heard, they keep getting, in the nicest way possible, they keep getting electrocuted, it seems, by their car.
That sounds terrible. So, in what way are they being electrocuted? Because obviously I have no knowledge of this. So
it's an issue with the Honda power unit. The Aston Martin this year have partnered with Honda, used to be with Red Bull. They partnered with Honda, and we've heard some really bad stuff. We've heard that apparently.
I have seen some of that
I've heard
stuff.
recently that Honda may have been lying about stuff for a few years, and apparently Aston Martin only went to the Honda factory for the first time properly last November, which isn't ideal.
So they've just had the Honda factory produce the engines, but they haven't looked.
It just hasn't been much symmetry, it seems, in terms of the idea, and what it's causing is it's not a particularly good engine, and there's vibrations within the car that are damaging the driver's nerve system if they drive for too long. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
They are.
Because I saw a clip of the Honda engine. I think it was during testing where the there was no throttle input and it just revved to 13,000 RPM and then just exploded. You know, if your engine's throttling by itself, that sounds like quite a major issue, honestly.
Going into this season, Aston Martin were considered this is a brilliant chance for them to show themselves off as potential challengers for the world title in a few years. With Adrian Newey on board, it's not going to go that way as it seems. But the team who are likely to win the championship, if Australia is anything to go off, is Mercedes. They dominated. Dominated qualifying is even lightly putting it. I mean, George Russell took pole 3 tenths ahead of teammate Kimi Antonelli, but he was 8 tenths of a second faster than Isaac Hadjar on 3rd place, which absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. I'd never seen. It's been so long since I've seen a qualifying that dominated by one driver, especially George Russell dominated the entirety of it. No one else could come even close. But the race wasn't as smooth for Mercedes. I mean, I'd say it was still pretty smooth. But off the start line, Ferrari, we saw in testing this, that Ferrari off the start were rapid, and that showed here. Charles Leclerc went from 4th to 1st by the first corner simply because of how quick that Ferrari is off the line.
Off the line acceleration.
So, I mean, realistically, this season, it's looking like on pace, Mercedes are easily the best team, but Ferrari have a chance. They can maybe challenge
if they really put it all in. And
if they just don't beat Ferrari, really. I mean, that's the best thing they can do.
When did the switch for Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari take place? Is this the first season?
No, this is his second season. But last season was a bit of a stinker for him.
Because I saw some clips of him, having some interesting interactions with his race engineer.
Yeah, who's actually no longer there anymore. Riccardo Armani was his engineer last year. I believe he's got a new role in Ferrari. I couldn't tell you what the role is, nor could I actually tell you who his new race engineer is. I haven't looked at that yet. But even from just Australia, it seemed like they had a much more positive.
Because the kind of relationship between them
it was very,
in the last season
it didn't feel
good.
very good.
But
you're back into qualifying, Max Verstappen crashed.
I did hear about that.
But I mean, Max Verstappen crashing in anything is outlandish, but this was very much no driver fault at all. This was very much car issues. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns about the 2026 regulations, is that this was very much unnatural. He went to break into turn 1, the rear axle's locked, send him spinning into the wall, and it's nothing of a driver error. It's a weird technical thing with these. I think it's because of the MGUH being removed, which is putting more stress.
What that is?
It's the motor generated unit for the hybrid.
Okay.
So I think that part was removed, which is putting more stress on the MGUK, which is the kinetic.
Right.
And that's in control of things like the rear axles in terms of getting the energy levels.
So you mean before there would have been some energy being taken out by this kind of like generator.
Yeah.
But now there's more being put into the brakes, which means
I think that's what I've seen somewhere. Please don't quote me on that. I'm not a scientist. I don't like science. I don't like.
Not an engineer.
I'm not an engineer. Yeah. I am simply trying to remember. It
sounds plausible, doesn't it?
Yes, that's what seemingly caused the crash. Other technical issues, Audi. Gabriel Bortoletto was looking really strong. He got to Q3, but he never actually got to take part in Q3 because of an Audi technical issue with the car, which there's been a lot of so far this season. So many teams, like Carlos Sainz wasn't able to take part in qualifying due to some issues with his Williams. Technical issues are really going to plague this season. I mean, I think that's the nature, though, of a first season of regulation change such as this. When it's a complete overhaul. This isn't like a minor few changes.
This not just like adjust it slightly.
Yeah, this is a completely new era.
You've like completely rewritten the rule book.
Yeah,
which means you have to change so many things about the car that like stuff is bound to just go wrong.
And the teams are therefore they're still learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cadillac, for example, they've only recently just joined the sport.
Did they join this season?
This season, first season, they're looking very much off the pace. They look
that's
slow,
understandable.
But it's their first season. They're trying to. They've had to build a car and try and get all their head around all the rules and stuff.
When they were building this car, would they have built it before these regulation changes in, and then they would have had to change it?
Well, Cadillac, they only got approved. They got, I think, a pre-approval sort of in November 2024, but it only got confirmed that they joined the grid at the start of last season. Okay. So they've only had sort of a year where they've been officially like joining the grid. It means I don't know if they've been working on it in the background. They may well have been. That's a year sort of process that they've had to build a car, which
that's not a long time because F1 cars are super complicated.
Exactly. I mean, Williams have said for years that they've been focused on 2026 for the last few years under James Vowles. It's not looking particularly good at the moment. They didn't particularly qualify or race very well. I think that Nigel Mansell there, he'd be quite disappointed if he had the Williams car this year. I don't think he's disappointed with his little World Championship there. I mean, that car was designed by Adrian Newey, and I think that's slightly better than Aston Martin he's designed so far this year. McLaren as well, though. McLaren double world champs last year, 2 times in a row world champs of the constructors. Yeah, but they're not going to be world champions this year. I tell you, I believe it was 5th and 6th in qualifying for Piastri and Norris. They just. They're not as quick as Mercedes and Ferrari. Yeah. Those are the 2 teams to beat, and then it seems like Red Bull and McLaren will be 3rd and 4th, and that seems quite tight between them.
There's kind of like 2 bands of races. You've got the two at the top, and then there's 2 lower down.
I mean, had Verstappen not had the crash, I think he would have easily been able to, realistically, probably got 3rd in qualifying. I don't know if he'd be able to beat Mercedes, just because simply how quick they are in qualifying. He may have been able to get better of Antonelli, possibly.
So for Max Verstappen's crash, was that during a practice?
That was during a Q1, the first session of qualifying.
And then does that mean in what way does that impact the rest of the?
Well, it means that he doesn't get to. He's obviously out of that qualifying session. It means the team have got a day really to rebuild the car, and then he just races. So he started P20 because of the crash. Because
he wasn't in qualifying.
Yeah, because Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll both didn't take part in qualifying due to various issues with their cars. Okay. So therefore, he started bottom of the people who took part in qualifying.
So he ended up not at the very bottom, but above the people who didn't take part.
Yeah, and as he's Max Verstappen, he certainly didn't finish bottom.
Absolutely.
He didn't do what he did like last year in Brazil. He didn't do what he did there the year before in Brazil. He likes Brazil.
What happened there? Did he?
Last season in Brazil, the RB21 just was really, really slow. It was really surprising. He went out. It was the first time that he was out in Q1 on pure pace alone without any car issues. Yeah. But he still came through and he ended up getting P3. Wow. And the year before that, he got, after a very questionable decision from the FIA in terms of bringing out flags and stuff for various crashes into that incredibly wet 2024 Brazil qualifying. He qualified, I believe, 17th and ended up winning just because that's Max Verstappen. Yeah. And that's what I mean, got P6 in the Grand Prix,
I did see that as well. Yeah,
that's just about what he does. That's why he's easily the best driver on the grid. I don't think anyone can argue that. He's arguably the greatest of all time in terms of just pure driving talent.
But it's not. That's the thing with F1. It's not just the driver talent. There's loads of other different aspects.
Exactly.
Which, if one of those aspects fails, then it means
That's
you
always
can't.
annoys me when people say, "Oh, George Russell's going to win the championship because he's just been built a rocket ship." Lando Norris only won the championship because he was built a rocket ship. Isn't that the whole point of the sport?
Yeah, exactly.
The whole point of the sport for the teams is to build a rocket ship to give their drivers, and even then, the driver still has to drive it.
And that's the reason. Like, there's all these like regulations in place so that you can't just have, you can't just put rockets on the back of the car.
No.
But it's about how can you squeeze the most performance out under those kind of regulations. And there's lots of different things you can do. And then sometimes people, some of the times the teams will do things which later then come under scrutiny, whether that was actually really under the rules. But it's all about innovation.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Exactly,
point of the sport. The whole point is to test the limits as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because like every millimeter is so important in F1. Every inch of performance is so important. So you are trying to stretch the rules as far as you can. And that's why people have been complaining about the Mercedes power unit. I can't remember what the issue that Red Bull and teams had with it, but they've put complaints to the FIA about it. But that's the whole joy of Formula One is the fact that it's
that innovation.
It's innovation. Yeah, otherwise, if it's just saying, "Oh, you're all going to build the same car,"
there's just no difference, is there? So you're just going to be the fastest driver is going to be the person who wins every time.
And then Max Verstappen wins the championship by the race
which is
4,
boring, isn't it?
Unless he has a massive crash, which he could have. We never know.
I would say as well. What are your opinions on like because there are often times, or there have been times in the past where there's been these controversies around certain changes that have been made to like the power units and engines and stuff. But it seems to be that the kind of conclusion that the FIA generally comes to is to ban it, right?
Yeah.
But surely it would make more sense to have it where it's rather than preventing innovation, you allow all of the teams to do it and clearly state in the rules that is allowed, and that would allow all of the teams to get more performance out of their cars.
It just comes down to an issue though of when you're a lower team, you don't have as much funding.
There we go.
And then you can't afford to do what the Mercedes innovations can do, and therefore it creates a very big imbalance, which is, I assume, what the FIA are trying to avoid. They don't want it to be unfair. That's why we have the cost cap and stuff, to prevent the teams with the money from being able to do ridiculous amounts of upgrades when the teams who don't have as much money can't.
So if anything, you could argue, although it does kind of seem like you're limiting innovation, you're kind of helping to make the race more interesting for viewers, because otherwise you're going to have the team. It's just whoever's got the most money is going to win, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just how it would be.
They need to find a better balance, I think, in terms of
that makes sense.
What is allowed in terms of the innovation,
you're at,
but also making sure
absolutely.
that teams who don't have as much money don't get pushed out and
because obviously if you have more money, that you'll always have some more advantage because you'll be able to get more drivers that are better and stuff like that. But you want to give those teams the best chance possible to be able to kind of
Cadillac were 3 laps down on the race with all the things to try and keep it level. So imagine how bad it would be if Mercedes and Red Bull and McLaren were allowed to do whatever they like.
Exactly,
they would be...
It would just not be a competition at that point.
No, exactly. I mean, it's not like they have bad drivers either. Cadillac have Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, multiple race wins between them,
But that shows again how important the cars are.
Exactly.
Because if your car isn't up to it, even if you have an incredible driver, it just doesn't cut.
Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez are no rookie to this game. They know how to drive a car. They know how to drive a car fast.
Yeah.
If the car isn't fast,
you just can't do it. Without that, can you? Yeah.
But speaking of a bit more of an inexperienced team, VCAR, Visa Cash App Race and Balls, Arvid Lindblad, debut in F1 this weekend, turned for the Grand Prix, turned exactly 18 years old in 7 months. Liam Lawson, his second full season Formula One. He's been since 2023 and 2024, he had a few races in them, replacing Ricciardo. Yeah. And then 2024 joined Red Bull on a full-time, got 2 races, got kicked out very unfairly still in my opinion. But then went to VCARB and put in some good performances, not as good as Isaac Hadjar, that's why he got the promotion. But Lawson, I feel like he's an underrated driver, to be honest. I think there's certainly talent there, and that showed in qualifying. They got P8 and P9, which didn't solidify themselves, but it showed that they can be right at the top of the midfield, which is ultimately what they're going for. If they can get P5, that's an amazing result. That's where everyone below the top 4 is pushing to be, because they know they're not in a position yet to challenge for any championships. But Lindblad, first weekend in Formula One, what a weekend he had. He started obviously P9, I think he got up to P4 in the opening laps. He obviously wasn't able to keep it there, he really showed pace.
What you can do.
He had an absolutely epic fight with Ollie Behrman. I thought it was a really good fight. It's actually, later we'll talk about overtake of the week, and it's from that fight that I have one of my favourite overtakes of the week. They had an amazing fight, and in the end he lost that battle. He got P8 on his debut, which made him the third youngest point scorer in Formula One history, which is
insane,
incredible to see. He's a proper talent. He is going to go far.
What do you think? Do you think you could put, or at least give your opinion on what you think? Like, is there a specific factor that you think is holding him back? Like, is it that the car isn't good enough, or is it just that he just needs more practice?
It's both. I mean, look, if you're able to in a V car get P8 on your F1 debut, you have some talent.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Talent's not going to be an issue for him, but obviously he'll have complicated stuff come his way throughout the season, I imagine, and he's not going to be able to challenge for races. But look, last season Isaac Hadjar in his debut year with that V carb got P3 in Zandvoort in the Dutch Grand Prix. That's the sort of, you can get that sort of luck. You get a race where you just have a bit of pace and you get a bit of luck on your side.
There is that element of luck as well, isn't there?
Exactly. I mean, Hadjar he wouldn't have got that podium had Norris's car not blown up on him, but it happened, and you have to take those chances when they come.
Exactly,
Carlos Sainz for Williams last year, he got 2 podiums. The one in Qatar, he wouldn't have got it had McLaren not fucked up their strategy. They did that though, and boom, Carlos Sainz gets the 2nd podium for Williams. Qualifying even Azerbaijan for Sainz had Piastri, Leclerc, everyone not crashed, had Norris had put in a better lap. He wouldn't have started in the top 3, maybe wouldn't have got that first podium. It happened.
It's that element, any opportunity that you don't take, you can't do it.
You can't sit there and wait for the opportunity to come to you.
You've got to always be on it.
You've got to be at your best, and the luck will come when it comes, and you've just got to be ready for it.
You've just got to wait. And it might never happen, but you've always just got to try and take the opportunity as it comes.
Let's switch to someone who has absolutely no luck though. Oscar Piastri, the hometown hero, born in Melbourne. Last year, he of course, in the tricky conditions, him and Norris both went off at one point when they were having a 1-2. Norris was able to keep it and keep P1. Piastri was basically out, it seemed. Managed to somehow get going and got P9.
Did he come off the track at all?
Yeah, he slid off into the grass, but managed to get it going again. However, there was none of that luck this year, as he obviously qualified P5, but in the practice laps before they do the formation lap, before the Grand Prix, he was out. He, on the exit of turn 4, he clipped the curb and Bosch into the wall, smashed out. And it's actually, I've seen something quite funny online. I've seen people with RC cars of it, because there's a mark in the wall where his car smashed into it, and they've been driving and crashing into it with RC cars.
That's crazy.
But another year where it's heartbreak for the hometown hero, who just...
Because that's something you always want to do. You always,
every
if
driver
that's where
wants
you
to
come
win the home
from,
race.
you just want to.
And he's just never had that luck in Melbourne. It seems it's a shame for him.
There isn't many. You don't get many opportunities.
No, exactly.
Right? So
I mean, it's one race of a season over maybe a 10-odd season career. You have 10 chances. Piastri's already had 4 technically. Then,
so
luck runs out.
There?
McLaren aren't going to be challenging. I don't think McLaren are going to challenge for many wins this season. So. It's going to be possibly a bit of a slow year for Oscar Piastri. A shame after such a positive season last year where he got so close to the title. Ended up obviously coming 3rd, unfortunately, for him, which is a bit of a shame when he led for so long. But another man who didn't start the race, Nico Hülkenberg didn't start, who last year with Sauber got a podium in Great Britain, his first podium, and I think it was 250 odd races. He finally got on. It was the longest streak ever for a driver in Formula One to not get a podium, and he fully deserved it because he's a top driver. And he got P11 in qualifying. He had a good chance maybe of getting some points. Didn't ever get to see the start line though. Because Gabriel Bortoleto had the same thing, as we said earlier, in qualifying, where he never got to do Q3 because of the technical issue for the Audi. Right. Same thing happened for Hülkenberg before the race.
Just the technical issue with the car.
Exactly, that's just a mechanical fault or something, and that
just takes you out.
That's tainting Audi so far seemingly worse than anyone. I saw some of that in practice as well. They just seem to have reliability issues, which a lot of the teams do seem to have.
And do we think that could be part of the new regulations?
It's undeniably part of
that.
Trying to, yeah. There are a lot of fair criticisms about this year's regulation. I mean, qualifying was pretty tough to watch at times because you see they're downshifting on straights because they have to recharge their battery because it's 50-50 combustion engine electrical unit now. Yeah. It's so much more reliant on the battery, which therefore means they're having to charge it up a lot more and deploy it a lot more. And they've introduced this super clipping thing, which I can't really fully wrap my head around, but it seems to be just clipping in the corners to recharge battery quicker or something. But qualifying made for a pretty bad watch because of the fact that it wasn't drivers going at full pace. It was drivers having to be more logical with when to deploy.
You could maybe even argue that it adds an extra layer of kind of planning that you have to do, because before, where you can worry less about the battery and you've got, you can just go and stop when you want to, but it does mean that you're probably going to have less kind of action going on because you can't be making as many of these like daring things because you have to keep recharging this battery.
Well, it's funny because actually in the race, it made for... I mean, the racing at the start was absolutely epic. Russell and Leclerc, their battle for the first few laps was incredible. It was lap after lap, new leader. In every corner, they were swapping positions.